This is every single fight to make next after UFC 306 at the Sphere, O'Malley versus Dvalishvili. I've got all of the key fighters from that card on the screen right now. Some winners, some losers, and you may notice there is an empty box next to all of them, and that's where their next opponent's going to go, who I have hidden around the perimeter of the screen. I'll slowly reveal their opponents one by one as the video goes on and place them where they belong on the screen, starting with the winner of the main event. Merab Dvalishvili is the world champion, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm thrilled about this. So I can't wait to match this guy up with his next opponent. I really would love to see, in a championship fight right now, I'd love to see Merab versus Umar. I mean, this just, like, when I saw Merab and Umar coming up the rankings, I was like, oh, God, let them fight for a belt one day. You know what I mean? That was my main thought when I saw the pair of them rising up through the rankings. And Umar has done, like, the crazy amount of, like, you know how, you know, all these other fighters, like Leon Edwards had to go through all of these guys, and people pulled out against him, and then he, you know, he wouldn't fight Chimaev as a step down for him, and then they took him out the rankings completely, and then he said he would, and then they put him back in the rankings, weirdly, like, certain fighters really have to go through the gauntlet, and let me tell you, Umar done the exact same thing. I think he fought Raoni Barcelos, and he beat Corey Sandhagen. So he's earned it. You know what I mean? Jose Aldo, you know, wins over Marlon Vera, Rob Font, Pedro Munoz, Jonathan Martinez, and hopefully soon Mario Batista. All of them are ranked, by the way, other than Munoz. I think he was moved out of the rankings recently. And Vera's like near the top 5. I think he's number 6 or 7 in the rankings. So, you know, Aldo, he just hasn't done enough. You know? Aldo just hasn't really put the time in the game yet to get a title shot. Like, you know how Stipe has been out for so long, but because of what he did in the past, he's getting a title shot against John Jones. But Aldo, I just don't think has served his time. You know what I mean? I don't think he's done anything in the sport. Not worth anything. Figueiredo again. I just don't think he's done enough. Like, multiple-time world champion at flyweight, was dominant for a moment, did the rise through the flyweight division with dominant performances, destroying top contenders by finish. And then recently he's now moved up to bantamweight, and he's beaten Rob Font and Marlon Vera back-to-back. Amazing wins, looked great in both of them. But I just don't think he's done enough. I think it's time for, like, the guy who's truly earned it to get the title shot. Umar Nurmagomedov beat Corey Sandhagen after beating Raoni Barcelos, who was ranked at number 15 at the time, is now unranked. I think probably retired as well. But let's not forget that at one point he beat Nate Maness a couple fights before that. So this guy's served his time. He's done the hard work that he needed to do. And, you know, they're giving Stipe the shot against Jones, but Aldo's on the prelims of the next pay-per-view against Mario Batista. He's coming back as well after a while, and they gave him Martinez, then Batista. You know, it's just, you know, even across the board in the UFC. Umar's getting a title shot. We have to come to terms with it, guys. I'm done coping now. Let's see this fight. You know what I mean? We got to see this fight. And the happiness I'll have to see this fight is if it gets booked quickly. You know what I mean? If we see this fight in January or February, I'm A-okay with it. And let me tell you this. I don't know if Merab celebrates Christmas, but something tells me Umar doesn't. Okay, I just got a hunch. Not as much as maybe an O'Malley or a, you know, not the great lineup to prove my point here, but maybe not as much as an O'Malley would celebrate a Christmas. You know what I mean? So I think take advantage of that, because most of, like, an O'Malley would want to be, I need a few weeks off over Christmas, spend time with my family. Maybe Umar be more willing to fight in January, maybe alongside Merab as well. I'd love to see Merab versus Umar. I'm not trying to take shots there either. I'm literally talking logically here. Like, who's more likely to, like, put their title on the line or fight for a title in January and train over Christmas? Umar would probably be a good candidate to do that. So I think you should time a January card in, maybe they're going to go to Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia again, probably put on a really stacked card. And maybe if it's like a February even, they could even, like, if Pereira beats Khalil Roundtree in September, when Pereira beats him in October, maybe he's looking to make a turnaround as well. Maybe he could be on there versus Ankalaev if Ankalaev gets a big win against Rakic, and then you could put that as the main event and Merab versus Umar as the co-main event. I'm already building a supercard here. But what I don't want Merab to be like, okay, I've won my belt, I go travel the world now. I don't want that. You know what I mean? We need activity here. He got hit a few times, but he didn't take much damage. I think his nose was busted and his eye was cut open, but he had that going into the fight. So I'm thinking that we should look at Merab versus Umar latest February. I don't need a 6-month break here because what that's going to do is Figueiredo versus Yan is going to happen in December. And if this fight isn't booked by then, and Figueiredo, listen, I don't think it's going to happen, but let's say Figueiredo beats Yan impressively, finishes him, who knows, there's going to be demand for Figueiredo. And all of a sudden, Umar's not going to have his shot. You could argue I should want that, but if they are going to do this, I want it to be done quick. So we don't have all of these other matchups like Aldo beating Batista. And then now people are talking about, well, Aldo deserves it. Like, no. If they want to make this, they got to make it quick. And they got to make it before too many other of these other bantamweight matchups happen. Do it in February. And hey, one of them's going to lose. So, happy days. Yeah, I mean, I reckon Umar's got it. Merab didn't seem too keen. But that's my idea. Pereira and Kalaev, if all things align. February. Abu Dhabi card, Merab, Umar, co-main event. You don't need much else on that card to sell it. You know what I mean? That's big. But yeah, there you go. That's what I would do. Moving on to Sean O'Malley, the loser of the co-main event. You stupid strike-throwing moron. God, I hate this guy. Such an idiot, dude. What's he doing throwing punches for? Or not enough of them in moments. Big old Leon Edwards hour performance from him. All good. Sean O'Malley lost. Didn't take damage, though. Guys, I'm going to be taking digs, guys. You know you like it. Everyone was roasting me for the way I acted. In the build-up to the fight, you were like, oh, I can't wait for the crash out if Merab wins. And then I give you the crash out, organically, from the soul, that you knew was coming, and now I'm the bad guy. You love hating again. Just let it happen. Sean O'Malley. Luckily, didn't take any damage from his fight. You know, a little bit of a bruised nose. But, you know, we're not talking damage here. I know people were saying Merab destroyed him. But luckily, O'Malley's damage-free after 25 minutes. Despite how much of an absolute beatdown that Merab put on him. So once that thigh heals up from those knees on Sean O'Malley, I would like to see him. And I know a lot of people said, you said you should fight Sandhagen. And I was thinking, you know, maybe you could fight Sandhagen. But Sandhagen fought Umar, you know, not a long time ago, but quite some time ago now. And I'm thinking, are their sort of schedules going to line up? Or are they going to end up fighting different people? And I think Sandhagen is more willing to fight an upcoming contender than Cejudo is. I should have revealed him before I said that. Cejudo's been calling out O'Malley. They have beef. I think Cejudo's probably more ready to go than Sandhagen. No. More ready to go to the tune of O'Malley than Sandhagen is. Like, if they tell Sandhagen O'Malley's thinking about coming back in April or May, Sandhagen's probably going to be like, you know, I want to come back in January. I'm not trying to take another 7 months off. You know what I mean? But Cejudo, on the other hand, is more likely to dance to the tune of O'Malley when it comes to getting a fight with him. So I say book O'Malley versus Cejudo. The other reason I want to say that is you can't have O'Malley get out wrestled by Merab and lose because of it, and then give him a striking matchup, because it doesn't prove us anything. You know what I mean? Even though Sandhagen can grapple, and he's proved that he can, even against Umar in some moments, you know, his defensive grappling looked really good. On paper, for the casual fan, I think right now they'd like to see him jump into a wrestling matchup so he can clear it up. You know what I mean? Because if he goes out there, shuts down Cejudo's wrestling, and then gets a KO, which I actually think he would do. I think Cejudo is barking up the wrong tree. I know, you know, you're glazing O'Malley, and I picked him to beat Merab like everyone fucking did. Everyone did. You know what I mean? We seen Merab get cracked, guys. We all watched it. You know what I mean? Didn't happen this time. All good. What an idiot I was. But I do think O'Malley would smoke Cejudo. And his performance against Merab doesn't change that. I think Cejudo has lost it. I think he's a little outgunned at bantamweight, in all honesty. Like, I don't think he has the presence to impose his will wrestling-wise. And I just think O'Malley would really easily keep him at range. And he doesn't scoot around like Merab does. Like, I think O'Malley could have a much easier time with Cejudo's wide stance that he has, rather than Merab's erratic, herky-jerky, looks like he doesn't know what he's doing whatsoever on the feet type of stance. So, I'm going to go O'Malley versus Cejudo. The beef is there. Cejudo called him out after the fight. I think it had like 1 million views on Twitter or something like that, and a bunch of interactions. Just make it happen. And also, make it happen quick. You know what I mean? Even though I just said that Sandhagen might not want to wait out, I think the best thing for O'Malley to do if he really isn't that badly hurt by this, you know, I know he said he wants to spend time with his family and he's probably going to do a podcast tour where he comes to terms with the loss and everyone's going to be like, you know, bravo, dude, he took it so well. I need radio silence from O'Malley. I need people saying, yeah, what happened to O'Malley? What's going on with O'Malley, dude? He hasn't posted anything. That's what the energy that O'Malley needs to redeem this. And then out of nowhere in 4 or 5 weeks, O'Malley's fighting Cejudo in December. Oh, he's coming back. You know what I mean? That's the energy we kind of need out of O'Malley now if we're going to redeem that star power. I think the December pay-per-view card, if he can. January pay-per-view, if he can. Even though I just said the thing about Christmas. A late February pay-per-view. A March pay-per-view is just 6 months away. I don't want to have to wait 6 months. You know? So we're going to have to skip Christmas this year, O'Malley. All right, buddy? And we're going to get back to it. Or we're going to fight in December and we're going to fight Cejudo. Because guess what? I think it's easy work for O'Malley. 5-rounder. Could be a co-main event of a pay-per-view with a strong main event like a Makhachev to Sarukian and an O'Malley Cejudo co-main event. I think the December card is going to be like odds and jobs put together. I might make a video trying to build that card. It's kind of an awkward one to build right now because we don't have too many people readily available. But I think O'Malley Cejudo would be big. I think the build-up would be good. I think they would talk trash to each other. And also for O'Malley, you don't want to now go into a fight with Sandhagen who may take you down. But your training camp to now change to, oh, I don't want to go through another wrestling training camp. I'm going to go and fight Sandhagen, fight a striker, and then I'll get back to fighting wrestlers. No. You got proved that you have a problem in the wrestling, okay? Against a guy like Merab, bear in mind. We need to go into a wrestling matchup. Because then your mindset is going to be, got to stuff the takedowns. You know what I mean? This guy's a wrestler. I'm going to improve on that. And subconsciously, you're going to try and patch up that hole in your game rather than avoiding it, and that's going to look like a weird move. You know what I mean? And also, I don't want to see him do... Well, no, because people are just going to say Merab's kids fighting each other. So that's something, you know what I mean? But O'Malley versus Cejudo, that's the matchup I want to see. And I want it quick. December. If he wins that and Sandhagen's about, we do the Sandhagen matchup. What I think is probably going to happen, though, is O'Malley will win this, and they'll just let him sit out. Is probably what the UFC is going to do, let's be honest. Especially if Umar's the champ and O'Malley comes in as a contender. If Merab's the champ, they may go a different direction now. But yeah, O'Malley versus Cejudo is the fight I want to see. I've spent a long time talking about, oh my God, Shevchenko. Yeah, let's just do her versus Manon Fiorot. Maybe on that same Abu Dhabi card I was talking about. Now, maybe the Abu Dhabi crowd wouldn't be as appreciative for that type of performance, but I don't think she'd have that type of performance against Manon Fiorot. I think her and Manon have a good striking scrap, and Manon will be strong enough to keep it on the feet. I actually think Manon could beat Shevchenko, in all honesty. So I'm looking at a pay-per-view card in February in Abu Dhabi, maybe even March if they don't want to rush it too soon, or January, you know what I mean? Whenever they want to do it, they're going to go to Abu Dhabi multiple times a year now, once early, once late. The October one's the late one. The February one can be the early one. Pereira versus Ankalaev main event if the stars align. Merab, Umar co-main event. Shevchenko, Manon Fiorot in the feature fight. Sprinkle some Khabib-looking guys up and down the card, and voila, you've got a good one. Diego Lopes. This is the guy. This is the guy right now. And I think he deserves something big. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, we got to run back the Evloev fight if he beats Aljo, or if Aljo beats Evloev, this is the matchup. Listen. I think Lopes is above that. In all honesty, guys. When has Evloev ever got the crowd roaring? Okay, when has Evloev really ever won a clear fight? I mean, the Arnold Allen one was, they were legal knees. He got saved by Goddard being a dum-dum. So, you know, we don't see Lopes getting saved. He's stepping up on short notice to fight Ortega, and then Ego steps in. He makes weight 3 times in a week, and he makes weight twice on fight day. Still gets the win. This guy's sacrificing his own success rates for the UFC's success rate. Just put on a hell of a performance against Ortega. I'm thinking when Volk's ready, I know Volk fans ain't going to like it, because it is a dangerous matchup for him. But I don't want to just see Volk sit around until the winner of Topuria Holloway is decided, and then maybe 5 months after that, in March or April, we start seeing Volk come back. You know what I mean? And maybe even later than that if they want to do it in Spain and they want to wait for good weather because it will be in an arena, and then they're waiting for the summer and we're talking July, August. You know what I mean? Like, There could be a delay time there. I want to see Volk get in there against a contender, and I think Lopes has earned it. And I think Lopes is one of the biggest stars. You know, I've been seeing viral clips of him all over the place. Just smoked Ortega's life away, like just destroyed him. Keep him active. This guy likes to be active. Maybe the Abu Dhabi pay-per-view could be in January, or the Saudi pay-per-view, whatever they want to do. Maybe Turkey Al-Sheikh does something in Saudi Arabia this time, and they juggle that with Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia. But if they go to Australia early in the year, which they usually do, and they've got guys like JDM who might be coming back around then, and a bunch of other Australian guys that can be on the card, we might do Diego Lopes, Alexander Volkanovski on that card. And that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? That's the matchup I want to see. I don't want to see Lopes have to fight another contender. Like, this guy's done enough. He's entertained every single time. He sacrificed himself to the benefit of the UFC. Let's do Lopes versus Volk. Super fight time. Volk's got to fight a contender. You don't just get to... He's on a 2-fight losing streak. I don't want him to sit out. When did he fight Topuria? Was it February or something? Was it April? Or around early this year? So we might be looking at a year that he's been out. Like, come on, man. He's old. Get him back in there against Lopes. We move on. Brian Ortega lost in the co-main event. Going to need some time off. So we need to find someone that's going to sync up with his schedule. Dan Ige. Now, Dan Ige is fighting Lerone Murphy in October. Regardless of the winner of that fight, I don't actually know who's going to win, by the way. I'm not picking Ige. I probably am leaning towards Ige, but I haven't done my full in-depth guesswork yet, where I flip a coin. It feels these days. But Brian Ortega versus Dan Ige. I think it's going to be a scrap regardless between Ige and Murphy. And Ige, if he wins, and Murphy, if he wins, they deserve the jump up. So I guess we could do Ortega versus the winner of that one. March next year, US pay-per-view on the prelim headliner. Could be a fight night main event in the Apex. I bet you'll still be doing those things in 2025. You know what I mean? That's probably what's going to happen. Ortega versus the winner of Ige versus Murphy. Could be Murphy. Could be Ige. We'll see what happens. Esteban Ribovic got a huge win over Daniel Zellhuber, and he's put some momentum together right now in the lightweight division. I think he's on a 3-fight win streak. He had a win over a guy I can't quite remember the name of. And then he beat Terrence McKinney by KO. And obviously now he just got the big win over Zellhuber, who himself had some momentum as well. So we're looking at a guy who's going to be looking to fight another lightweight prospect with some good momentum, or a lightweight fighter who's in that 15 to 25 range of the rankings. And that guy is Guram Kutateledze. Now, this could also be on that Abu Dhabi card I'm talking about next year. If Esteban's all good, you know, he might have hurt himself, broke a hand by the amount of punches he was throwing. But this could also be on that card. Put that as the prelim, on the prelims. That's going to steal the show. Everyone's going to be wanting to buy the pay-per-view after that. So, Ribovic, Kutateledze coming off a win over Jordan Vucenic, I believe, in June. So, he's not normally the most active fighter anyway. We'll see how that one goes. So, I'd go Ribovic versus Kutateledze. I think that's a good matchup. And the winner can start looking at that number 15 spot where they're looking to fight a Bobby Green or a, you know what I mean, something along those lines. So I'm going to go with Esteban Ribovic versus Guram. We move on. Norma Jamont, the chosen one. Macy Chasson in a rematch. They fought each other a while ago at featherweight. Norma lost a very close decision. Arguably could have gone to her. She had Chasson in some trouble in the third round, actually, at one point. And they're both just sitting there, aren't they? Like, I mean, Norma just beat Irene Aldana, who's top 5. So she's probably going to be near the top 5. I think Chasson is near the top 5 or in the top 5. I think she might be number 3 or 4 in the rankings. Run that one back because we know if Kayla beats her next opponent, she's going to get a title shot next. So, you know, we're doing Pennington's silly little fight first with Pena. And then Kayla's going to win over whoever she's against. I can't quite remember. And then, you know, this can happen in the meantime. That's what I think should happen. So, yeah. We move on. Ignacio Bahamondes. Couldn't recognize the face for a second. Ignacio Bahamondes got a huge win over Manuel Torres. And next matchup for him, Thiago Moises. It's time for the Moises test. You know what I mean? Moises is sitting there into that 15 to 25 bracket. I could have maybe done Ribovic versus Ignacio Bahamondes. I'm trying to hold back coughs this whole time, by the way. I could have maybe done Ribovic. There he is. I could have maybe done Ribovic versus Ignacio Bahamondes, but I'm thinking we could activate Ignacio Bahamondes' activity more than we could Ribovic right now. You know what I mean? Like, Ignacio Bahamondes could be on the December pay-per-view prelims. I don't think Ribovic will ever be ready for that. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to need some time. That was a scrap. So save him for like a March. Give him some time. Maybe a February fight night card even. Who knows? Maybe it'd be easier to guarantee a Roy Jones Jr. Experience if he was like in a good spot in the Apex or a crowded American arena, somewhere easy for Roy Jones to get to. I know Roy Jones Jr. said he was going to guarantee that he would walk him out for his next fight. So give him somewhere where there's going to be a crowd, I think would make the most sense. But yeah, Ignacio Bahamondes, Thiago Moises, they can fight in December. Bahamondes should get right back in there. Ton of momentum, ton of hype. Let's not lose it. You took no damage. You took a couple shots, but you got him out of there in the first round with relative ease. Let's see that matchup. Moises fought in June, lost. I think he actually might have fought in March and lost. Around that, I think. Right, cut out for some reason, so we're going to get back to talking about Ignacio Bahamondes, Thiago Moises. Moises last fought in around June, around that time, so I think he should be looking to return around December. And I think we need a quick turnaround for Ignacio Bahamondes. I'm probably repeating what I just said, but bear with me here. I think this is a good matchup for Ignacio. I think he probably win it. And a lot of lightweight contenders go through this test when they rack up a few wins outside the rankings. Makhachev did it. Benoit Saint Denis had to go through this test. Bobby Green put a few wins together and fought Moises, got robbed and lost. And this is just a test that a lot of them go through. I know Ludovic Klein recently beat Thiago Moises, but Bahamondes is going to be looking for this, and then he's looking for that name like a Doba or something like that, you know what I mean? So I think we should be looking at Ignacio Bahamondes versus Thiago Moises on the prelims of that December pay-per-view, man. Let's not waste any time here. Let's give him that test. I reckon he would win it, but it's an appropriate jump up for him. Yeah, I hope that's enough coverage of Ignacio Bahamondes versus Moises. I can't remember what I just said about it. I was yapping about Rosas to no one for a second there. Chihuihuis, Raul Rosas Jr. I'm following a script now, guys. I actually forgot what I said. Rosas Jr. got a win over Dvalishvili. No more layups. That was a line I just used. God, it feels weird being scripted for once. No more layups for Raul Rosas Jr. He's had so many of them now. I think he's 4-1 in the UFC, and he's actually on a 3-fight win streak right now at bantamweight. So we're not looking at keeping it going where he's fighting these guys that we just know he's going to beat. And he didn't look the best against Dvalishvili either. So I'm thinking as an opponent for Raul Rosas Jr., I'm also maybe thinking about the December card. We need some activity out of these stars. Maybe January, February. Because I hate that. I know the end of the year sounds early for a turnaround, but when you think about it, they don't want to fight around Christmas and they want 8 weeks training camp. You're looking at March if they don't fight in December, and that's like a guaranteed half a year off. Why? You know what I mean? Get him back in there and give him a jump up in competition. There's also a bit of name value in Daniel Silva or Daniel Dos Santos. What was this guy's name? I've forgotten everything now. I think his name's Daniel Silva. And this is the Mini Oliveira that we were talking about. You know about this guy. Mini Oliveira, blonde hair, coming off win over Johnny Munoz Jr. I think his name's Daniel Silva or Daniel Dos Santos, something along those lines. He hasn't fought for ages, though, which is why I'm actually forgetting his name, even though I just said it. Fuck. Even though I just said it, which is why I'm forgetting about his name. He hasn't fought in ages. Like, you might have... I've just showed you his face and gone, oh yeah, him. The guy who's crazy, you know what I mean? Who comes back from being knocked down and has a scrappy war and gets it done. And Munoz's performance was good and he always puts on a show and beat Johnny Munoz Jr. in his last fight. But he last fought in 2023. So he's been out for over a year now. We ain't really heard anything from him. So I think he'll be looking to come back soon. And if he is, come back to fight Raul Rosas Jr. because he had some hype. And what you don't want to do with him is put him in a matchup that no one's going to care about. And all of a sudden, they don't care if he wins or loses. And all of the hype is lost until he tries to have a great performance. Maybe he rekindles it a little bit. You want to put him in a performance where if he wins, he can start back up where he left off before the inactivity bug hit him with injuries. Rosas Jr. is a good step up for him. The guy's been inactive and injured. So although it's a step up in competition, it's also an approachable step up in competition where there's some, alternate factors on the line here, some external factors on the line that could play into his favor. So I say do Rosas Jr. versus Daniel Santos or Daniel Silva, whichever Santos or Silva it is. Half of the fucking Brazilian population are called that, but you know what I mean. Great stuff. Rosas Jr. versus him, December prelims. You know what I mean? Then you're looking in Abu Dhabi, you're looking at Pereira Ankalaev, Marabuma, Shevchenko thingy, Manon Fiorot. This on the prelims, maybe. You know what I mean? Ribovic versus Garam. And then you're also looking at a potential December pay-per-view where you can get O'Malley on there with a quick turnaround. You can get Rosas on there. You can get Ignacio Bahamondes on there. You get the cake on there as well. Like, everything's going to be A-okay. Like and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye.